Sure, Kylie Jenner had jaws dropping with her surprise baby at 20, but these stars flipped the script. They didn't just wait until 40 to become moms, they thrived doing it. From ultra-private pregnancies to miracle births that defied the odds, these celeb moms proved timing is everything. One even hid her baby bump so well, the internet had no clue. Who are they? Let's dive into Hollywood's boldest late-in-life baby stories. Gwen Stefani, the rocker mom who had a surprise baby at 44. You'd think raising two wild boys and fronting a world-famous band would be enough excitement for one woman, but Gwen Stefani had other plans. Just when she thought her baby days were behind her, life threw in one more high note, baby Apollo. And get this, she was 44 when she found out she was pregnant. Gwen called him her miracle baby, and it's no wonder. Her son Kingston had reportedly been praying for another sibling, and boom, wish granted. Gwen's pregnancy shocked fans and even surprised her. She'd wrapped her head around being done, her hands full with Kingston and Zuma, and her career in full swing. But life had a plot twist, and with her signature style, bold lips, cool mom energy, and plenty of love, Gwen embraced it fully. Apollo may have arrived later than expected, but he was right on time for this rock star mama. Eva Longoria, the glam mom who found her perfect timing at 43. She played a desperate housewife on screen, but in real life, Eva Longoria was anything but. After years of red carpets, business deals, and scene-stealing roles, Eva finally took on her most rewarding role yet, mom. At 43, she gave birth to her first child, Santiago, and called it the best thing she's ever done. Some might say she waited too long. Eva would say she waited just right. She had already mastered stepmom life with her husband, Jose Baston's 3 kids, but becoming a mom herself brought a whole new kind of magic. And while late-night feedings and zero sleep hit hard, Eva says the extra years gave her something younger moms often lack: patience. More time, more calm, and a deep appreciation for every tiny milestone. No regrets, no rush, just a woman who built her empire and then her family, on her own schedule. Do you like our video? Please comment number 1 and want us to continue on this topic. Please comment number 2. Alanis Morissette, the raw, real mama who welcomed baby, number 3 at 45. She gave us You Ought to Know, fierce, unfiltered, unforgettable. But Alanis Morissette's most powerful journey wasn't on stage. It was through motherhood. At 45, after thinking her family was complete, Alanis found herself pregnant with baby number 3. And just like that, life surprised her again. She had always wanted 3 kids, but after struggles with postpartum depression and the chaos of early parenting, she wasn't sure it would happen. Then came winter, and this time, Alanis brought more than a baby into the world. She brought wisdom, awareness, and an unshakable sense of self. She spoke openly about the dark side of motherhood, the hormonal crashes, the sleepless nights, the quiet pain no one talks about. And in doing so, she gave countless women the courage to seek help, speak up, and breathe. Alanis didn't sugarcoat it. She showed up raw and real, just like always. And in her 40s, she didn't just survive motherhood, she owned it. Rachel Weisz, the elegant surprise. Mom at 48 who chose to keep it quiet. In a world where celebrity pregnancies trend faster than music videos, Rachel Weisz did something radical. She stayed silent. At 48, the Oscar-winning actress quietly welcomed her daughter with husband Daniel Craig, and the world barely noticed. No bump photos, no baby showers, just a gentle, private joy shared only when it felt right. Rachel had her first child years earlier and figured those days were behind her. But life had other plans, and she embraced them with quiet grace. No dramatic announcements. No tabloid exclusives. Just a simple truth: it was the right time for her. When asked how they'd raise their child, British or American, Rachel's answer was simple: just human. She may not post every milestone or chase the spotlight, but Rachel Wise proves that motherhood, like womanhood, doesn't need to be loud to be powerful. Sometimes the strongest moves happen in silence. Julianne Moore, the timeless beauty who found her true role at 41. She's played everything, from tortured artists to icy villains, but Julianne Moore says her most rewarding role isn't on screen. It's at home, as mom. After having her first child, Caleb, in her 30s, Julianne welcomed her daughter, Liv, at the age of 41. And though she had already won Hollywood's heart, motherhood gave her something even deeper: purpose. Julianne has never sugarcoated it. She admits parenting is hard, juggling a career, family life, and the emotional chaos of growing kids. But she also calls it the most satisfying thing she's ever done. Her secret weapon? A strong partnership with her husband, director Bart Freundlich, who she says keeps their family grounded. She didn't rush, didn't panic about timelines. She waited until she was ready, emotionally, mentally, and yes, even financially. And now, her kids are teenagers, her career is thriving, and her feet are still firmly planted in reality. Julianne Moore proves that motherhood after 40 isn't a compromise. Sometimes it's the perfect plot twist. Naomi Watts, the late bloomer who wishes she'd started sooner. Naomi Watts always knew she wanted kids. She just didn't know when. After building a career filled with emotionally raw, award-worthy performances, she became a mom at 39 and 40, welcoming sons Sasha and Kai with then-partner Liev Schreiber. She was glowing, grounded, and finally where she wanted to be. But if you ask her now, she wishes she'd started earlier. Naomi has been candid about the joys and exhaustion of late-in-life motherhood. She's admitted that while she loves her boys fiercely, she sometimes wonders what it would have been like to have a bigger family. More time, more tiny voices, more chaos. Still, she calls her sons her greatest gift. Despite her split from Schreiber, they co-parent with grace and stay close as a family. Naomi's not one for filters, not in her roles, and not in her life. She speaks the truth. Motherhood is beautiful, messy, and sometimes bittersweet. And though she may have arrived later than planned, Naomi Watts shows that love, like life, is always worth the wait. Laura Linney, the private star who became a mom at 49 without anyone noticing. In an age where celebrity pregnancies are dissected online before the first ultrasound, Laura Linney did the unthinkable. She kept hers a complete secret. At 49, the acclaimed Ozark actress quietly gave birth to her son, Bennett, without a single tabloid whisper. No bump photos, no red carpet reveals. Just a baby, and a boundary fiercely protected. Rumors swirled. Did she use a surrogate? Was it adoption? But Laura, ever poised and graceful, later confirmed, yes, she carried him herself. She didn't mean to be mysterious. She just didn't want to draw attention to something so delicate, so late in life, and so deeply personal. She wasn't hiding. She was protecting her child, her peace, her path. Now, as a first-time mom in her 50s, Laura brings all the wisdom, calm, and quiet strength that defined her acting to parenting. No spotlight, no noise, just real, raw love. Her story is proof that sometimes the most powerful moments in life are the ones we don't post about. Chloe Sevigny, the indie darling who became a pandemic mom at 45. Known for her edgy fashion and fearless film roles, Chloe Sevigny always marched to the beat of her own drum. So it's no surprise that when she became a mom for the first time, it happened on her terms, in the middle of a global pandemic, and at the age of 45. She and her partner, art gallery director Sinisa Makovich, welcomed their son Vanya in 2020. No Hollywood spectacle, no paparazzi frenzy, just a stylish, low-key announcement and a rush of love. For someone once dubbed the coolest girl in New York, motherhood was a bold, beautiful curveball. Chloe had once joked about wanting a daughter to inherit her epic vintage wardrobe, but fate gave her a son instead. And though she admits it took a moment to adjust, she's now head over heels for her little boy, saying motherhood has softened and surprised her in the best ways. Turns out, even the queen of cool can get baby spit up on her blouse and still look iconic. Tina Fey, the comedy queen who hit pause for baby number 2 at 41. She ruled 30 Rock, wrote best-selling books, and became the sharpest voice in comedy. But Tina Fey knew something was missing. At 41, in the middle of a blazing hot career, she hit pause to have her second daughter, Penelope. It wasn't easy. She worried about timing, about momentum, about juggling 2 kids and 24 scripts. But she did it anyway, because family came first. Tina already had her first daughter, Alice, in 2005, but the decision to expand her family was more than just biological. It was intentional. She once joked that having 1 kid makes you a parent, having 2 makes you a referee. Classic Tina. But behind the punchlines was a woman deeply committed to motherhood and ready to make space for it, even if it meant rewriting the ending to her own show. Balancing mom life and showbiz wasn't always pretty, but Tina never pretended it was. She kept it honest, funny, and fiercely real, proving that smart, driven women can choose both. Celine Dion, the powerhouse who fought for motherhood and won. Celine Dion has always done things with heart, big songs, big love, and an even bigger dream of becoming a mom. But it wasn't easy. After years of struggling with infertility, multiple IVF attempts, and a grueling tour schedule, Celine finally gave birth to her first son, René Charles, in 2001. But she wasn't done yet. At age 42, when most people thought her family was complete, Celine stunned the world by welcoming twin boys, Eddie and Nelson. She called them her miracles. And they were. Because behind the glamorous gowns and legendary vocals was a woman who had fought tooth and nail for the chance to hold her babies. When her beloved husband René passed away, Celine didn't collapse. She stood tall for her kids. Through grief, she found purpose. Through motherhood, she found healing. Her voice made her a star, but her strength, that made her a legend, and one extraordinary mom. Halle Berry, the ageless wonder who embraced motherhood at 41 and 47. She's played superheroes, spies, and silver screen heartbreakers, but Halle Berry's favorite role? Mom. At 41, she gave birth to her daughter Nala, and at 47, she welcomed her son, Maceo. 2 kids, 2 chapters, one unstoppable woman. Halle has said she loved being pregnant, and it showed. She carried her bump with pride and said the experience made her feel more beautiful, grounded, and present than ever before. And while the media obsessed over her age, Halle focused on what really mattered, raising kind, curious humans who didn't care one bit that their mom just happened to be a movie star. She's called motherhood the most sacred job she's ever had, more powerful than an Oscar, more enduring than fame. And even as paparazzi flashed and headlines speculated, Halle carved out a private, peaceful world for her kids. She didn't let age define her. She redefined what timeless really means, with grace, grit, and a whole lot of love. Nicole Kidman, the graceful fighter who found joy after heartbreak at 41. Nicole Kidman's path to motherhood wasn't smooth. While married to Tom Cruise, she suffered a painful ectopic pregnancy and later adopted 2 children, Isabella and Connor. For years, she believed biological motherhood might never happen. But life and love had other plans. After marrying country singer Keith Urban, Nicole got her second chance. At 41, she gave birth to their daughter Sunday Rose, a miracle she never thought possible. 2 years later, the couple welcomed another daughter, Faith Margaret, via gestational surrogate. Nicole doesn't shy away from her journey. She's spoken openly about the grief, the longing, and the quiet ache of infertility. But she also radiates deep gratitude for the unconventional family she's built, one stitched together by love, resilience, and trust. She calls motherhood profoundly healing and says it gave her a softness that even her most complex film roles couldn't touch. Nicole Kidman didn't just get a second act, she got the one her heart was waiting for. Meryl Streep, the icon who balanced Oscars and onesies, after 40. She's won more acting awards than almost anyone alive, but Meryl Streep says her greatest achievement isn't golden, it's flesh and blood. At 41, already a mother of 3, Meryl gave birth to her 4th child, Louisa. By then, she wasn't just juggling roles. She was juggling diapers and dinner plans between film sets. Meryl has always seemed effortless, the accent switching, the tear triggering, the career longevity. But she's quick to admit that motherhood is the most challenging role she's ever taken on, and also the most joyful. Her children, Henry, Mamie, Grace, and Louisa, grew up far from the spotlight, grounded by a mother who may have played queens and legends, but lived life like any other mom off-screen. She credits her kids with keeping her sane, humble, and anchored in reality, even as she stood on the world's biggest stages. Her long marriage to sculptor Don Gummer only deepened that foundation. Meryl Streep proves that greatness doesn't have to come at the cost of family, and that even the most celebrated lives are made richer by bedtime stories and baby giggles. Brooke Shields, the survivor, mom who faced fertility and found joy at 40. Brooke Shields grew up in front of the cameras, the perfect face, the perfect smile, the Hollywood it-girl. But behind the glamour was a woman quietly battling one of the most personal struggles, infertility. After multiple failed IVF attempts and heartbreaks, she finally gave birth to her first daughter, Rowan. And then, at 40, something unexpected happened. She got pregnant naturally with her second daughter, Greer. Becoming a mom later in life gave Brooke a new kind of resilience and a voice. She shocked the world by opening up about her battle with postpartum depression, shattering the silence around a topic long considered taboo. In her signature honest style, she told the truth. Sometimes motherhood isn't all joy. Sometimes it's survival. And yet, she calls her daughters her greatest gift. Not her fame, not her films, them. Brooke's story is one of grit, grace, and emotional courage. She didn't just become a mom, she became an advocate for every woman told you're too late. Salma Hayek, the fierce mama who found her miracle at 41. Salma Hayek is fire, on screen, on red carpets, in every word she speaks. But when it came to motherhood, even this powerhouse had doubts. By the time she married billionaire François-Henri Pinault, she believed her window for a biological child had passed. She was already a stepmother to his 3 children and figured that chapter might be closed. Then, surprise. At 41, Salma became pregnant with her daughter, Valentina. And it wasn't through IVF or any medical intervention. It just happened. A miracle, a wild twist, a second chance. Pregnancy wasn't all glowing skin and cravings. She battled gestational diabetes and exhaustion, but never once lost her fire. She now says she's a better mother at this age, more confident, more patient, and less afraid of messing up. Salma embraces motherhood with her signature passion: bold, protective, wise, and real. She reminds us that timing isn't everything love is. Uma Thurman, the cool, complex mom who added a plot twist at 42's. She's wielded swords, danced with Travolta, and reinvented what it means to be dangerous and divine, but Uma Thurman's most unexpected role came at 42, when she welcomed her third child, a daughter with a name as epic as her story, Rosalind Arusha Arkadina Altaloon, Florence Thurman Buson, or just Luna for short. Already a mom to Maya and Levon, whom she shares with ex-husband Ethan Hawke, Uma had long since settled into motherhood when life handed her a surprise. A new love, a new baby, a new chapter. And true to form, she did it her way, quietly, protectively, and with zero need to explain herself. The internet buzzed about the baby's many names, but Uma, she just smiled. Luna's name was a long story, she said, which felt perfectly Uma, layered, poetic, unbothered by convention. She's never been one to follow the script, in life or in film, and becoming a mom again in her 40s wasn't a detour, it was a power move. Eva Mendes, the quiet star who found her real role at 40. Eva Mendes had it all: beauty, success, and Hollywood at her feet. But at 40, she stepped away from the spotlight for a far greater calling: motherhood. With partner Ryan Gosling, she welcomed her first daughter, Esmeralda, and 2 years later their second, Amada. No red carpets, no magazine spreads. Just a soft fade into private life, on purpose. Eva has said nothing could have prepared her for being a mom. Not fame, not fortune, not the years of playing fierce women on screen. Motherhood was raw, real, and sometimes overwhelming. But she embraced it fully, shielding her daughters from the public eye and pouring herself into family life. While the world wondered where she went, Eva was busy finding herself in lullabies, late nights, and little hands. She may no longer be in the tabloids, but she's never been more powerful. Because Eva Mendes didn't just walk away from fame, she walked toward something even more meaningful. Madonna, the queen of reinvention who rewrote the rules of motherhood at 42. If anyone was going to bend the rules of motherhood, it was Madonna. At 42, the pop icon welcomed her son Rocco with then-husband Guy Ritchie, a move that surprised those who thought she was too deep into her empire to pivot to parenting. But Madonna has never been one to follow timelines or expectations. She doesn't bend to life, she reshapes it. Already a mom to daughter Lourdes, born in her 30s with Carlos Leon, Madonna later expanded her family even further, adopting 4 children from Malawi, David, Mercy, and twins Esther and Stella. 6 kids, 1 icon, 0 apologies. She's raised her children around the world, from New York to Lisbon, balancing music, motherhood, and a constant reinvention of self. Madonna says being a mom is the most challenging and rewarding role of her life, and calls her kids her greatest teachers. She broke the internet before it was a thing, and she became a global mother figure not because she had to, but because she chose to. Iman, the graceful icon who welcomed new life at 45 after years of heartbreak. She's a legend on the runway, a fashion icon, and the wife of the late, great David Bowie. But Iman's most powerful transformation came at 45, when she became a mother to her daughter, Alexandria Lexi Zara Jones. It was a journey filled with heartache, failed IVF attempts, and nearly giving up on the dream of having a child together. She already had a daughter from a previous marriage, but with Bowie the dream was different, quieter, more sacred. Just as they began considering adoption, Iman discovered she was pregnant naturally. The joy was overwhelming. The timing? Perfect. Iman kept her pregnancy low-key, choosing privacy over publicity. For someone who made a career out of being seen, this chapter was about feeling, deeply, fully, privately. She once said, "Motherhood is not about age, it's about love." And Iman embodied that love, regal, strong, and endlessly devoted, proving that even the most glamorous lives are shaped by the quiet power of family. Geena Davis, the late to the party, mom who proved it's never too late for love. Geena Davis didn't just break barriers on screen, she shattered them in real life too. While most of Hollywood was slowing down, she was just getting started. At 46, she gave birth to her daughter Alize, and 2 years later, welcomed twin boys Kian and Kais at 48. 3 kids in her late 40s, Geena called it the best decision she ever made. The Oscar-winning actress has always played strong, smart women, and off-screen, she's no different. Geena knew she wasn't ready to be a mom in her 30s, but when the time felt right, she jumped in. Full heart, full energy, and a full house. She admits parenting later in life has its challenges, toddler tantrums with a side of back pain, but also says it made her more patient, present, and playful. And as founder of the Geena Davis Institute on Gender and Media, she's raising her kids in a world she's actively working to make better. Geena's story is proof that you don't age out of motherhood. You grow into it. Brigitte Nielsen, the bold trailblazer who became a mom again at 54. When Brigitte Nielsen announced she was pregnant at 54, jaws dropped, and not just in Hollywood. The statuesque model, actress, and reality TV star had defied the odds and critics to fulfill a dream she had quietly fought for over a decade, becoming a mom again. After 5 previous children and countless failed IVF attempts, Brigitte had nearly given up. But she held on, through the heartbreak, through the doubt, through the years, and finally, a miracle. Baby Frida was born in 2018, with her husband Mattia Desi, who's more than a decade younger. Brigitte kept her pregnancy secret for 27 weeks, even from her own mother, fearing something would go wrong. But when Frida arrived, healthy and loved, it was more than a happy ending. It was a bold beginning. She faced criticism. She faced fear. But Brigitte didn't care. She was finally holding the child she'd waited for, and that was all that mattered. At 54, she didn't just rewrite the rules of motherhood, she rewrote the ending of her own story. Alyssa Milano, the thoughtful mom who waited until she was ready at 41. For Alyssa Milano, timing was everything. Fame came early. A child star, a teen icon, and eventually a beloved activist and actress. But motherhood? That took time. She didn't rush into it, didn't bow to pressure. Instead, she waited until she felt emotionally and mentally ready. And at 41, she welcomed her daughter Isabella, her second child with husband David Bugliari. By then, Alyssa already had a son, Milo, and a solid sense of self. She'd lived a full life, built a career, and grown into her voice, one that would later lead movements and shift conversations. So when she became a mom again, she brought her full, fearless self into it. She's spoken openly about everything from breastfeeding to postpartum emotions, always with honesty, never with shame. For Alyssa, motherhood wasn't a comeback or a photo op. It was a conscious, powerful decision. She didn't do it young, she didn't do it perfect, she did it right for her. Janet Jackson, the pop legend who shocked the world with a baby at 50. When Janet Jackson quietly canceled her world tour in 2016, fans were stunned. But what came next was even more jaw-dropping. At 50 years old, Janet was pregnant with her first child. In true Jackson fashion, she kept it private. No interviews, no tabloids, no explanations. Just a graceful pause and then the birth of her son, Isa. For decades, Janet dominated the stage. Bold, fierce, untouchable. But in her 50s, she took on her most vulnerable role yet, mom. And she embraced it with quiet power. She called Isa her greatest gift and said motherhood had transformed her heart in ways fame never could. Her split from husband Wissam Almana came shortly after, but Janet never wavered. She poured herself into raising her son, choosing love and peace over noise and headlines. Becoming a first-time mom at 50? That's not just rare. It's revolutionary. But Janet Jackson has always lived by her own rhythm. And this time, it led her to the most meaningful encore of all. Geri Halliwell Horner, the Spice Girl who spiced up motherhood at 44. Once known to the world as Ginger Spice, the bold, red-headed spark of the Spice Girls, Geri Halliwell Horner brought that same energy into her second act, motherhood. At 44, long after girl power had become a global mantra, Geri gave birth to her son, Montague, with husband Christian Horner. And just like that, baby Spice wasn't the only one with a little one. Geri had already been a mom to daughter Bluebell, but this time around felt different. Calmer, wiser, filled with quiet joy. She conceived naturally, and while many were surprised by her age, Geri didn't blink. She embraced it with the same confidence that once made her a pop culture phenomenon. And yes, her kids still have playdates with Victoria Beckham's brood, because once a Spice Girl, always a Spice Girl. From stadium stages to nursery rhymes, Geri proved you can evolve without losing your spark. Motherhood, much like her music, is all about timing, heart, and a little bit of glitter.